kicking off this session since our session and topic is CTO view on AI. So today we will learn from them, like, what is that AI is, and AI is kind of like very hot topic from the since past 6 months. So let's learn and let's learn from them, from their experience, what they think, and and I think like this is going to be a wonderful panel discussion. So I will first of all ask each of these technology leaders, first of all, like, I want them to give this chance to introduce themselves. And when I ask for that, I would like to know who you are, what you do, and why you do what you do. So who want to kick first? Shall
Well,
we start?
I can start. So my name is Rebecca Parsons. I'm the Chief Technology Officer for ThoughtWorks, and that involves both working to develop the internal tech strategy for our company, but also I do a lot of speaking externally and writing. We're a services company, and so the role of a CTO there is quite different than it would be in, say, a product company where there is, the CTO is kind of responsible for product vision and such. And I guess part of the biggest role that AI has played in the way I look at CTO, I spent some time at Los Alamos working in the field of evolutionary computation and genetic algorithms, genetic programming. And so I come more from the evolutionary and emergent computation side of AI. And a lot of that is just to be ready for whatever comes at you, because you don't know how things are going to change. And so the best thing you can do is be ready for that change. If you can, be excited about the fact that things are going to change, and then just continue to adapt to your environment.
Thanks, Rebecca. I can jump in. My name is Elaine Zhou. I'm the CTO at Change.org. Change is the world's largest online petition platform for people around the globe to make social changes. My day-to-day job is to lead a global engineering team to design and build this platform that power thousands of petitions around the globe for over 600 million users who want to make changes they want to see. One of the main reasons that I came to Change is really believe in the missions of change and want to use technology to help to make a better world. What I have learned is prior to come to Change, I spent 6 years in an AI startup. So what I have learned so much is it's a tool that have so much potential, as we can see right now. No one would doubt about that. Of course, any tools, AI or any technology is not inherently good or bad. It all depends how we use it. So I'm fascinated about its potential and also very passionate about collaborating with different leaders to figure out how to use AI ethically. Yeah.
This sounds interesting, Len.
Thank you.
May, you need to unmute yourself. It happens.
You hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Hi, my name is May. I'm the CTO for IoT security from Palo Alto Networks. Palo Alto is a public cybersecurity company, has been around for about 18 years and with the market cap 60 billion today. We have about 13,000 people around the world, and our headquarters is in Silicon Valley. And for myself, I actually drive AI initiatives across multiple products across the company, including IoT security. I co-founded a company several years ago that was acquired by Palo Alto Networks 3 years ago, focused on IoT security. So we do see lots of advantages adopting AI for cybersecurity. And for myself, why I do what I'm doing, because I really enjoy data. I enjoy looking into lots of data analysis. When I see data, I feel like I'm like a kid in a candy store. Just really enjoy all the insights we can get out of data. And I do see AI is actually bringing lots of new challenges and also opportunities for the CTO role. Actually, not only we are in charge of product development, product direction, technology direction, but also we can leverage AI to increase productivity. We can leverage AI to help with business and help with our customers. There are just lots of really fascinating, promising areas that AI can help.
Thank you, everyone. So now my next question is like to all of you. And since ChatGPT is so much popular, and I think like adding so many footprints to multiple sectors. So one quick question that I had, or even the technologists like me, we have like, can you share your experience with ChatGPT or any other similar tool that you have seen so far proves out to be a successful as a business or as a team, whatever it is?
Yeah, I can talk about my experience with ChatGPT, both from personal life experience and from the work environment. Actually, when ChatGPT just came out, it was my daughter who came out to be saying, she's 12 years old, and she was so excited about her conversation with ChatGPT. And she showed me that she asked ChatGPT, she told ChatGPT saying, from now on, my name is Your Magic. From now on, please call me Your Majesty. And then several minutes later, she asked ChatGPT, what is my name? And the ChatGPT said, Your Majesty. And she was just so happy, being the youngest one in the house. She had never got such kind of respect and obedience before. So certainly kids are having lots of fun, where we don't want to talk about doing homework using ChatGPT. But at work, we also, for the past several months, as everybody has been doing, we actually experimented with ChatGPT quite a bit. Even myself, I got my hands dirty and actually did lots of hands-on experiments and projects within the company. One thing I realized is like before ChatGPT, when you, as a software programmer, as an engineer, you develop software programs for the products, then you have to write lots of code yourself. But with ChatGPT, I feel it's more like you move from an individual contributor, from engineer to a manager. So what you really focus on is not really how to write the best code myself, but instead I need to practice and work on how to give the best instructions to ChatGPT to achieve what I wanted to achieve. For example, how you do prompt tuning, what kind of prompts you want to send to this large language model, so that because different prompts you feed the model, it can give you different answers. And also what kind of data you want to feed and how you communicate clearly about your intention, about your goal. So it's just it requires, so lots of people are worried about, okay, AI might take away lots of people's jobs. From what I see, it's definitely required, even from the software development, it requires different kind of skills from what we've been doing before.
Yeah, and just to follow on to that, one of the things that we've been finding in the experiments that we've been doing is that the tone of your prompts elicits a different kind of response. If you treat it as, a stern person might treat their assistant or somebody they consider their lackey, you get much terser, perhaps more subservient style responses. If your tone of voice, if the tone of your wording is more like a peer, then it will respond to you in that same voice. And I think that's one of the interesting things. One of the CTOs, I know that we have these wonderful, once a quarter, 1 hour, we're going to just, get geeky sessions. And he put together a website that he was fronting ChatGPT, but then fed it all of his blog posts and all of his articles and everything. And he said the amazing thing was that anything I asked, it came back in my voice. So it is not just we can put the words together, but it can be contextualized to in the style of. We had another example. Somebody from ThoughtWorks needed to write a bureaucratic email in German. And while she was confident enough to be able to read what was generated and make sure it was correct, she was really struggling with creating it for the first time. And so that's the prompt she gave. Please give me a letter in German in a bureaucratic style that addresses this problem. And she was astounded. She got this email back that was very bureaucratically German, and she sent it off to the German department, and it was successful. And one of the things I take from that as well is the fact that, particularly for a lot of what we're looking at the moment, this is as much something that will give you something to check to see if it's right, but you have to know what good looks like. You have to know, yes, this is correct, because still many of the errors are subtle. It's an off by one error or a missed an edge case in some code, and so you're going to get a divide by zero exception. Or one person was talking about a particular field of physics, and he looked at it and he was an expert in that field and knew, no, that's actually not correct. It sounds plausible, but it's not correct. But someone who wasn't an expert, he called them over and said, hey, read through this and tell me whether you think it's accurate or not. And it was, and the guy said, well, yeah, it looks like it. I mean, it seems plausible, but it was in fact wrong. And so until we start to make progress on the hallucinations, it's really great for reminding you something that you already know. But less so, if you want to use it for research. And that's when I get nervous, when people start to tell me they're using ChatGPT for research. And it says, well, I hope you've got all kinds of other references that you're cross-checking it against.
Yeah, our experience similar as well. So my team is actually trying out GPT-3 a while back. So by the time ChatGPT available, we pretty much jump on it right away. So right now we have multiple experiments running online in our live site right now. Because we're dealing with petition data, it's all about writing petitions. So naturally, based on some of the prompts, it's pretty obvious that most our petition data online, because of public available data, it's being part of the ChatGPT training data set. That's pretty obvious. So when we actually put in very specific fine-tuned prompt, we can pretty much get a very specific to like change.org petition related information answered back. So it's good. So probably no surprise that one of the first thing we immediate test is using ChatGPT to craft out different kind of petition title to see which one will actually get better reaction, and then we can actually do online. It's based on the user reactions that we finalize the one that we use, settle on. We use that also do experiments for creating petition completely from scratch, which is very important. And we think about this is actually one of the areas that we experimenting. I think in terms of ethical AI, this is one area that will potentially help. We think about try to be on a platform to be equitable to everybody. And right now, without any kind of support, if you want to create a petition in English, for example, you have to understand and learn how to write English, which just means a lot of people might not, be that easy, right? Even you can speak English fluently, it doesn't mean that you can write a powerful petition. So can we actually use tools to help out? Doesn't necessarily mean completely creative, but can help to translate the message into more powerful message that will work in the petition campaigning side. And also potential, we also experimenting actually convert a video into a petition using ChatGPT. Those are the experiments that are working right now. The biggest challenge is similar to what Rebecca just mentioned. It's how do we minimize the harm potentially created by an imperfect model, right? It's very easy. All you need is a little minor mistakes, and you can actually change the tone, change the message, change everything about what the petition is about. We have completely different effect. So those are things that it's actually absolutely the biggest challenge for us, because you can't roll out a product feature if we don't know how to minimize those kind of mistakes. So we're working very closely with our policies, user safety and policy teams, our campaigning teams to figure out how can we minimize and how can we build into human in loop to help to prevent the mistake happen, or when mistake happen, we can immediately take actions. So that's our current stage of the development.
Wonderful. My next question to you guys is like, what new opportunities does AI bring in the coming 10 years that you guys are looking for and you see?
I got asked by a reporter many years ago, I guess not many years ago, a few years ago, because it was the 10th anniversary year of the launching of the iPhone. And she asked me what technology was going to look like 10 years from today. And I said, you do realize the iPhone was just released 10 years ago, and who could have predicted, the scale of impact of something like that. But I like what was said earlier. There are things that until we really get to artificial general intelligence, which ChatGPT is not, although it's doing some very fascinating things at the moment, there are going to be things that humans will continue to be better at. I don't know how you actually generate things like empathy in an AI. On the other hand, one of the remarkable things is the extent to which you don't have the same kind of scaling problem with an AI model. And so I can look at a data set, that has some number of parameters and kind of get an intuitive sense of what's going on. You can throw, 1 trillion values. You can throw petabytes of data at these models, and to them, that's okay. They're just going to crunch a little longer. They don't get overwhelmed in the same way that humans do. And so I think one of the things we're going to start to see more of is applications that take advantage of that fact, that they can, these models are going to be able to deduce more complex relationships at larger scale than humans can ever do. And so I think we're going to want to be thinking about how do we best use these tools to assist us in the things that we are good at, like creativity, like empathy, because the models are going to continue to become more capable. And so we need to understand, what do we need to do in altering our ways of working to take advantage of those, and mitigate against the downsides. And I did see somebody put into the chat earlier about some of the biases and things of that nature that are difficult to address. And I think this is part of it, because these models are basically built on the past. And so anything that happened in the past, that is going to influence that model. And so any systemic bias or cultural bias or technological bias that existed in the past gets perpetuated into the model. And I think one of the real challenges we have, although we're making some great progress on this problem, is how do we uncover the biases in the model? How do we audit our models for bias so that we can then remediate that? And I think that's going to be that, along with explainability in AI, true explainability, is something that is going to have to advance, because we're getting AI applications in things that are not just a recommendation engine for, well, people who bought this, bought that, but it's, cancer diagnoses and your chemotherapy recommendations and, criminal justice recommendations. And as society becomes more familiar with these things, we're going to want to know, why are you making this recommendation? What is the basis for this? And there's still a long way to go, particularly as the models get more complex. And so that's one area of exploration that I think it truly does have to, but also will advance within that time frame.
Okay, so so I would go with, because we have just 20 minutes left, so I would like to take one more, two or three questions. And this is for, like, since, Rebecca, you called it out, it brings some internal challenges, our ways of working. So I would like to know Joe's view and May's view on it. Like, what internal challenges do you see within your team or organization automating their work using AI?
I can jump in. I think you just nailed it. Is how you see the internal, both internal, external too. I think for me, it's always the expectation setting. The expectation versus the reality, right? Every time, whether or not my team try to automate existing process and workflow for the internal users, or when I work for a company that actually building AI tools, try to sell to the customer and help them to automate their internal process. It's very easy to get into the challenges. People feel like they are being replaced by machines, right? And that means they have bring in a couple challenges. One is, no matter what solution you put in, how much work you put in the solution, how much quality control you put in, your solution will be under magnified glasses, right? People are going to try to nitpick every little potential failure, the edge cases, right? Point out those failures, and it has become very hard to get a successful rollout. So that is a big challenge. Two, if this is an internal team, how do you get the collaboration going on at the same time when human doing certain things, usually whether or not it's based on experiments or experience, or based on certain rules and policies, so they can explain why they make certain decisions and take those steps. But once you train a machine, a model to do it, sometimes it's not explainable. It's like a black box. And including the researcher who created the model itself, you really can't explain every case. And that is making AI explainable as continued is a bigger challenge. I think that it's actually the source of many problems, including how to be effective AI. When we cannot explain it, people will just have the doubts. I don't think we necessarily have a solution at that point. And what I try to mitigate the challenges is to start a project with clear defined goals based on agreed upon problem that we're trying to solve, and that understand the problem, meaning we have to understand, collaborate with our user really, really well. And that's the only way that I think that we can actually help to mitigate those problems.
Yeah, we also see challenges on almost every single step of leveraging AI. The first step is actually data. We need tremendous amount of data. We all know the AI relies heavily on data, but the question is, how do you get the right amount of data, the clean data, the appropriate data to feed into AI? So that's the first challenge. And while we are working on AI, we actually, especially in cybersecurity, I think in every vertical is the same. You not only need the AI tool and AI experts, but you also need the domain expertise so that you know okay, what you're looking for and how to train the models, what kind of data to feed in, etc. So it's very hard to find experts that are who know both AI and cybersecurity really well. So we do find that having both security researchers and data scientists who specialize in AI work together, that help a lot with the work. And then the last stage is when we do have the AI results. And as we all know that AI is based on probability. So especially something you've been working on it for like 10, 20 years, you accumulate tremendous amount of knowledge. You find you already tune this cybersecurity, either policy or configuration or rules really, really well. While you have the AI who just started getting in these results. And so at the beginning, so the results might not be as good as people expected, like Elaine said. Then very often we actually got pushed back. Oh, this AI is not giving us accurate results, and this AI is making mistakes, so that we cannot use it. But the important thing is we need to see beyond that how AI can help us in long run. And once we can make it more accurate, and once we can scale it up, it actually can save us lots of effort, can be a lot more efficient. Yeah.
Thank you, Meg, and thank you, Lane. This is a question to this is a question from all of us. Like, how do you keep yourself with current tools and technology with so much change? You know, this is so much. The world is changing every day. We learn new tools.
I want to learn from
I,
these folks how to do it. I have that question myself for you too.
I use spies. Um, I try to cultivate a network of people who are very passionate about a particular field. And so when Pramod tells me there's this really cool thing in databases, I go and look at databases. And if Max tells me, oh, this is this really cool thing going on in AI, I'm gonna go look at it. Because particularly in my role right now, I can't specialize. I have to be able to talk about persistence mechanisms and operating systems and distributed systems and cyber and AI and IoT and dot 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 dot. And so rather than try to do it myself, I cultivate networks and I just listen to them and I say, please, 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 when you see something interesting, would you drop me an email with a link? And that allows me to keep up in a way that I just couldn't otherwise, because there's so much going on and the breadth of technology is greater than it was when I first started in this business, that there's no other way to do it.
Yeah, I agree with Rebecca. I think, nowadays there's just so much information out there, the videos, the blogs, the white papers, etc. At the same time, there's also lots of noise out there, and we only have very limited amount of time in how we just be efficient with our time, get the most insightful information. And one thing, so that's where I think human factor plays a very important role for me. And actually, I like to go to selected events. For example, like this event, you come to meet with people, listen to talks, because for example, when I co-founded my startup, I actually went back to my graduate school university and listened to a talk. Just from that talk, I got really inspired and came back and led a summer intern and built the first AI-based IoT security solution. So I found the listening to high quality talks, go to conferences, talk to the experts in the field, talk to the right people, can help us a lot. Yeah.
Wow. I can speak better than what Rebecca and May have said. Basically, it's similar. I try to identify, like in my team, I try to identify the techniques. And there's always a few engineers. It doesn't matter what level they are. They are like those really curious people, and they really want to try to get their hands on the latest technology, play around. and I connect with them, even a skip level conversation, just trying to see what they're geeking about, and then I follow up and read about those. I think in the work professional environment, I try to create different venues for the team to showcase what they learn outside of work, right? So they can do lightning talks, hackathons, you name it. So they can learn from each other. And I can also just use that, become the filter, help me see what are the trending thing, what are the interesting thing, and then I can read up and play around with that. Yeah.
So this is the last question I have. Then we can take a participant question. The last question is like, what piece of career guidance would you like to give our audience in growing themselves as a technologist, being as a woman?
Never be afraid of learning something new. Look at learning as something fun, not as a chore. And that way, regardless of what direction you decide you want to take in your career or the technology industry goes, you'll always be ready because you'll always be ready to learn something new.
I would say the belief in yourself. You don't need to prove anything, just by having trust yourself. All you need to do is prove to yourself. You really don't need to get the pressure to, work under the pressure and then prove to anyone. If you live well, believe in yourself, you have the right attitude, and you can learn any new skills, and then you will do well.
Yeah, I got invited back to my alma mater to greet the young kids. They probably see me as a grandma to give them some advice entering college. And I often tell them three things, like RPM, which is the meter you see on your car, and R stands for risk. I wish if I had known that years ago when I was young, I definitely wanted to take more risk. For example, I would probably start my own company years earlier instead of waiting everything's ready and to jump off the boat. So R stands for risk and P stands for people. Even though as a technologist, I'm very passionate about technology, algorithms and programming, etc. But I start to realize people plays actually a very, very important, probably even more important role, whether in your work relationship or even in business environment. And the M stands for mindset. I think especially for women, I think we want to have the mindset, even though you might not be at the leader role yet, you might not be at the driving seat, but have the right mindset to contribute, to be the leader, to be the driver, and then the opportunities will come to you.
Okay, so now we are open to take the questions from our participants. So the question that it comes like, how can CTOs work with their teams to develop the necessary technical skills and expertise to implement AI solutions effectively? Who wants to take on?
I can start. I think something can be relatively easy to dive in is at this stage there's so many well-trained pre-built models ready, right? So many libraries ready, including ChatGPT. You really, yes, it's an AI, but from a apply usage standpoint, you really just using the APIs. That is just a standard software engineering practice, right? So you go back to the basics, design and build good software and use API and utilize it. So you actually don't need a lot of AI skill set yet, but that would be a good starting point for you to work with the team to experiment. Now, once you start to get good at that, including ChatGPT, you can start to play around the API. You can start to fine tune your the model specific to your particular business needs. So I think my suggestions is always go back to the basics. Go back to the basics. You don't have to jump into let's create the big models and LLMs. Get a lot of data. You can start as a usage, as a client of those AI models first, and then start to build and learn the skills.
Yeah, I'd say from our experience, it's very helpful and important to get our hands dirty, to really go to try it ourselves. Define a project scope and not make it too big at the beginning. But once you really get your hands dirty and you can go through the whole process, then you actually learn a lot more than no matter how many talks how many papers you read, how many talks you go to, you actually learn a lot from your real experience. Because for different company, different project, you might have different requirements, you might have different needs, criteria, etc. Only when you really try those things, try those models, and try get the data, then you will know what will work out the best for you and your team.
Mm-hmm. I think like
Yeah,
this is okay. Go ahead, Rebecca.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I want to echo what May just said, because I think connecting it to solving a real problem, as opposed to just playing around, you really do start to learn more about how to use any technology if it is connected to solving a real problem, and finding that good problem will actually teach you a fair amount about the technology as well.
Mm-hmm. The next question is like, I think this is for Elaine. Like you mentioned some of the ethical concerns related to AI. So what are the most difficult one to address according to your experience?
Oh, that's a hard question. I don't know if anyone has really solved those ethical problems yet, including ChatGPT, all these models. For us, and the nature of our work is we are open platform, but doesn't mean that we are neutral, right? We do have a point of view, even though we support people's voice, have different point of views. So as an open platform, how do we be able to train our model to be able to continue to keep our value as open, the openness value, at the same time that be able to identify what is right or wrong, in certain cases, and be able to flag certain petitions in this case, be able to minimize the harm. So those are the bigger challenges. How can we utilize AI and both our own model and also integrate with external tools, be able to identify petitions, for example, that might not meet our policy guidance, right? Those are hard things, especially when we operate in a global scale. What is right in one country might not be considered right or legal in another country, and what is right and what's illegal could be two different things. And just thinking about the war going on, for over a year, so those are really fine lines for us to walk. So I don't think we have solved all those problems, but we strive to try our best to make progress over time.
I think I can take the last one, though we have just 2 minutes left. And this is for Rebecca. Rebecca, you mentioned that AI won't be able to reproduce empathy. Where else did you see AI will fail?
Well, this is all caveated by, no artificial general intelligence. But one thing that I've always thought is, because it learns from the past, sure, it can make things in the style of Picasso or in the style of Mozart. But where is a new genre of music or a new genre, school of art? Can that actually be created in the same way, a Picasso or a Mozart or, any of these artists could do? Because, the art that's happening right now isn't groundbreaking in the same way that, a new school of art would be. And that's just one example.
Okay, so this is we are knock on time, and thank you, Rebecca, Lane, May, to join this session, to be a panel on this session. And it looks like the takeaway from this session is still the AI is we are having a neutral opinion on AI, and it's still the AI is just is an early stage. We cannot say like this is going to be the AI has to be evolved from it. So that's where we can make a decision like, is it a friend or enemy? Still, we are on neutral. And thank you, Marcus. And thank you, everyone, to join our session. And I will hand over to Marcus to take on the stage. Yeah, bye.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Great job.